says a person is going to be overcome with a desire to understand, but to no avail. Greater still is the wonder of the installation of the intellect, which is undefined in terms of bodily aspect and has no physical dimensions, no childhood or age in a material body. When a person is an infant, his intellect is infantile as well. As he grows up, his intellect grows with him. Wondrous are the wisdom and the sagacity upon which the chosen of all creation, meaning man, is founded. So, here the Chazon Ish is telling us that once a person falls in love with true wisdom and wants no end to it, he's still going to have a difficulty. One part is because there's no end to the Torah. The Torah is wider than the ocean. The second part is because the Yetzer Hara doesn't stop working. You see, the actions of a person, although they're not decreed by Shamayim, you decide your actions. Hashem does decide the outcome. Now, when you do something that's good, the Mishnah in Avot says you create an angel. An angel that's going to give you more power to do more good. When you do something bad, when you make a sin, you're going to create an angel that's going to do the opposite. It's going to give you weakness when it comes to doing something good, and strength when it comes to doing something bad. Which means that when a person makes certain sins, those sins affect their mind. So it's not that Hashem decided that you're going to get burned. It's that if you put your hand in fire, the outcome is fire. It's going to burn your hand. Simple. Hashem didn't want to burn your hand. You decide to put your hand in the fire, and the fire burns. It's a cause and effect. When a person makes sins, especially the big ones, he creates a big damage too. Now, the most significant damage that a person can make is by making the sins that are Isur Karet, which are the love sins, 32 specific sins, and the Zohar says there's as many as 48, which are specific sins that the Torah says these sins cut the person off, destroy their spiritual connection. Now, practically speaking, when a person makes such a sin, you don't really usually see a physical change. If, let's say, you see a person drive on Shabbat, you don't see anything change while he's driving on Shabbat. Now, if everybody that drove on Shabbat died, then no one would drive at all, period. Not even just on Shabbat. No one would drive, period. So Hashem gives people the ability to decide whether to drive on Shabbat or not drive on Shabbat. When a person makes a immorality crime, whether it's by himself or herself or with somebody, they don't see anything bad at that moment. Sometimes the opposite, they feel a pleasure that distorts their mind. When do you see the outcome, the fire, if you will, from that action? One of them is the obvious, which is in the next world, which people don't understand what that will be. The second is in this world, when it comes to their thinking. A person that makes immorality crimes tends to have an impossible time understanding everything I just said today. Has an impossible time accepting everything I just said today and every other time I've had a lecture. A person that makes these major sins has so many defects that he or she created for themselves, it's very hard for them to absorb the truth as clear as it is. This is why, if you've already been watching my shulim, let's say for a year or 2 years, if you go back 2 years ago to the first shiur you ever watched, and you watch it again, if I was allowed to bet, I would bet you. But I'm not allowed to bet, it's against the Torah. You watch that shiur, it's going to be a completely different shiur than what you got the first time. Completely different shiur. Why? Your mind, after watching the shurim for a couple of years, has been rewired, has been clarified, has changed dramatically, where now you're able to perceive the truth much more directly. Whereas in the past, because there was possibly still certain sins that you didn't know were sins even, because no one else taught you, so you were still making them. Now that you're not making them anymore because you realize how horrible it is, what ended up happening is you stopped, and now when you hear that same shiur, everything goes in clearly. This happens, and I see this time and time again with students that have been watching us for some time, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you see their language change. This is also why anytime you see a Baal Tshuva grow, it's one of the most wonderful things in the world. You see it in yourself, but you'll be able to notice it much more in other people. When a person first starts making tshuva, you see them as they are. But if they're really serious, you see how they progress a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later. Their looks change. Not just their nature and how they speak, but their actual physical looks change. They become softer. Their features on their face become softer. You want a perfect example? Go watch my movie. There's a section where I'm on CNBC. On my Wall Street days. Unfortunately, in those days, I was still a Rasha, violating Shabbat. Look at my face. I wasn't a criminal as far as I didn't kill anybody. I didn't steal any money. I wasn't an evil person that did anything that society said is wrong. According to Hashem, I was wrong about other things, religious reasons, Torah reasons. But as far as society, I was a fantastic citizen. Donated money. I was a businessman of the year award. All types of other shtuyot. But you look at my face in the movie, from 2003, I think it was, 2002, something like that, or 2006, whatever it was, and you look at my face in a regular lecture now, and it's not age. It's not age. It's simply the features. You can also look at many, many other people. Before tshuva, after tshuva. Their face changes. You look at a woman that is secular, and you look at her sister, that's a Baalat Tshuva, twin sisters. You see the secular woman as she ages, everybody's beautiful at 20 years old. 20 years old, everybody's beautiful. 25, 30, start aging, maybe a first little thing that you don't like, so you put some makeup on it. 40 years old, you got a couple already, you put a little bit more makeup. By the time you're 50, you got enough lines where pretty much you're not happy with what you look like. Self-conscious people are this way. And you always remember how you were when you were 20. Today, it's even guys think that way. Guys think about how they were when they were 20, because guys are very feminine in this generation. Anyway, think about how it was in 20. What happened with the religious women? You'll notice, the longer they're religious, the less they age. You see their facial features change less. You see religious women, they're 48, 50, 55 years old, still having kids, like Sarai Menu at 90. It's unbelievable. You look at their face, you're like, what is she, 30? No, she just turned 49. What is she, 25? No, she's almost 60. How is that possible? I'm telling you, I see it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, if you ask the two, how do you take care of your skin? How do you take care of your skin? The one that's secular spends millions of dollars on taking care of our skin. The religious woman sometimes yes, sometimes no, but nowhere to compare. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has mamash chen. He gives chen to the religious women. They age differently. They simply age differently. Baal Tshuva, face changes. It's wonderful things like this that if you pay close attention, you see there is a physical difference. But the biggest difference, and the most significant one, is the mental capacity of a person, what they're able to comprehend. Where if they are a person that accepts truth and they'll receive it, you'll see that that person has no limitation to how much they can grow and how fast they can grow. But if that person makes a certain amount of sins or certain type of sins, it's very, very difficult for that person to grow at all. There are certain people that I've been trying to work with for the last several years. I can tell you today, these people are Hashem Yirachem, lost cases. Baruch Hashem, it's not many, less than a handful, but lost cases. There's nothing I can do for them. Almost every single person, I'm talking about thousands of people that I've worked with over the years, you could help them. There's a few cases, completely lost cases. Why? They're so addicted to the sin, they cannot remove themselves from it. It's like a crack addict. You know, crack addict, you take away the crack from them, they feel like they're going to die because they may actually die. Because of the strength of the addiction. So even toning them off of it is dangerous. Same thing with certain sins. So that's the problem sometimes. When we become so addicted to certain sins, it's very, very difficult for us to continue growing with our Torah because those sins distort our